So the crew wanders the halls of very impressive but still blatantly obvious matte paintings. Trust me, there's a lot of those, and it's really, really noticeable. But unbeknownst to them, they're being followed by Darth Vader's cousins twice removed. Actually, those are Reinhardt's sentry robots. But that's not the most dangerous thing they'll encounter, for at the Bridge of the Sickness, they discover the leader of the robots, Maximilian. This guy was the source of many a nightmare for children in the 70s, and by God, it's easy to see why. But at last, we're introduced to Dr. Hans Reinhardt himself.
Such a nice little robot. He's harmless.
Bullshit! Right away, the crew has some questions for Dr. Reinhardt, which he answers. After the sickness suffered severe damage, Reinhardt supposedly ordered the rest of the crew to return to Earth. But he saved himself from suffering space madness by creating these creepy humanoid companions.
They look a bit medieval, but I'm a romantic.
After Charlie is reunited with the rest of the crew, Reinhardt explains, just as they suspected, that the sickness is being held in place by anti-gravity forces. They accept Reinhardt's hospitality until their ship is repaired, but not before he shows a bit of his sinister side.
Call him off, Reinhardt. I said call him off!
On my ship, you ask, Captain.
Indeed. Please, call him off, Doctor.
As they head over to get spare parts to repair the Palomino, we meet another robot named Bob, voiced by Slim Pickens.
My name's Bob, Biosanitation Battalion.
And now is probably a good time to mention that these two are another problem with this film. While the rest of the robots, Maximilian especially, feel suited for this movie's dark tone, Vincent and Bob, on the other hand, don't. Their designs, especially those impractical cartoon eyes, don't go together that well with the otherwise rather grim and suspenseful atmosphere. It's like if you took R2-D2, slapped some googly eyes on him, and then put him in the original Alien. It doesn't work. Now, sure, it's a Disney film, so they must have thought they should put something in there to attract the younger crowd. Which I get, but ultimately, they can come across as annoying and pointless to many. Now personally, I like these two, and they don't really ruin the movie for me. Heck, why do you think I own one of these? The characters themselves never really do anything to fall under plucky comic relief territory. Well, maybe apart from Vincent's habit of blurting out random philosophy quotes at inopportune moments.
A wolf remains a wolf, even if it has not eaten your sheep. There are three basic types, Mr. Pizer: the wills, the won'ts, and the can'ts. The wills accomplish everything, the won'ts oppose everything, and the can'ts won't try anything. To quote Cicero, rashness is the characteristic of youth. Prudence.
Okay, shut up! Meanwhile, a few of the Palomino crew wander off to explore more of the sickness, where it slowly becomes apparent that not all is what it seems to be. Dan comes across what appears to be some kind of robot funeral. Elsewhere, Booth stumbles upon the ship's huge garden and encounters a lone robot that seems to walk with a limp.
Suspicious.
Reinhardt has the crew join him for dinner, while Vincent is sent over to the robot rec room, I guess, where he runs into Bob again. What follows is a little target practice scene, which they cut back to every so often between the dinner scene, but there's really not much to discuss here. It serves little purpose to the plot, other than convincing Bob that Vincent stands a chance against this robot army, I guess. And it's probably just here so the kids in the audience don't fall asleep while watching the crew voice their concerns over dinner.
If there's anything I cannot stand, it's a sore loser.
So, moving on. Reinhardt reveals to the crew just what his plans with this black hole are. Once his probe ship matches his expected calculations, he plans to voyage where no man dares to go.
Into the black hole. In. Through. And beyond.
As Reinhardt heads out to check the probe ship readings, the crew of the Palomino is quick to reveal what they really think of the guy.
Cuckoo is a Swiss clock.
I think the guy's nuts.
I don't buy that.
That tiny little one-man garden of his is big enough to feed an army.
Granted at 20 years.
Boring.
But you can't ask me to believe that he's programmed his
Oh, slow. Huh? What? Robots? What? At this point, some of you may have noticed another problem with this film: the performances. Now don't get me wrong, Maximilian Schell does a fine job portraying a brilliant but insane genius, and oftentimes he succeeds in exuding an overall uncomfortable and threatening presence. In Ernest Borgnine, despite muddy character motivations, he plays it serious, but he adds some lightheartedness with his wisecracks here and there.
You always did have a flair for theatrical entrances, Doctor.
And Joseph Bottoms even, wherever he is now. No, not the best actor, granted, at least he has a clear character. Eager, cocky, ready for some action, yet no nonsense when he needs to be. Doesn't always shine through, but he's clearly trying. Everyone else, though, most of the movie, they just come across as stoic and bored. They say whatever exposition they have, end of line. Next character, end of line, and so on. In long dialogue scenes, half the time, whoever's not speaking is just standing around doing nothing. It feels more like a stage play in cases like this. And for a movie of this kind, it just doesn't feel right.